One of the most famous books of all time is The Art of War. This book doesn't deal with just strategy and mechanics within actual military warfare, but it also deals with any type of conflict which involves two opposing parties, right? This book is a perfect book to reference when we're talking about this Kendrick versus Drake beef, because I feel like the way that Kendrick kind of used some of these principles in this book is exactly why I think he's won this beef. Attack him where he is unprepared. Appear when you are not expected. You know, when this beef first started, I feel like the way that Kendrick kind of jumped out and just subtly dissed Drake on like that was an unexpected move by him. Now, even though Drake kind of dissed Kendrick as well on first person shooter with J. Cole, I feel like the way that Kendrick responded and the way in which he responded was unexpected for Drake. So this whole beef kind of started in a very abrupt, unexpected way. And I feel like from that point on, Kendrick was engaged in warfare. And Kendrick was playing this beef to a T. Now, even before this beef even really started, right? And accusations were being made on both sides. As we know, Drake is saying that Kendrick assaults his wife. Drake is saying that, Kendrick grew up with like abuse issues, sexual abuse problems. So that's why he's saying that Drake is a predator, which actually isn't true, because if you listen to the song that Drake was referencing, which is Mother I, Kendrick wasn't even talking about his experience being sexually abused. Kendrick was talking about his mother dealing with sexual abuse and sort of projecting that onto him. Like, nigga, have you been sexually abused? Yes, you have been sexually abused. Yeah, this is a tangent, but Drake was kind of didn't even do his proper research in that sense. But yeah, accusations were being made on both sides. Of course, Kendrick is saying that Drake and the entire OVO crew is filled up with sexual assaulters and pedophiles, right? But even before it reached that level, right, I knew Kendrick was going to come out on top. Not because I'm trying to, be biased and just dick ride Kendrick, because that's not the case, right? I just knew that Drake's position in rap right now and Drake's position in hip-hop compared to Kendrick's position in hip-hop and rap kind of just lends itself for Kendrick to emerge on top. It almost was predestined for Kendrick to win this beef, right? People were almost expecting Kendrick to win based on the position that Kendrick holds. And what is that position that Kendrick holds, right? Well, Kendrick, I would say in hip-hop, he's highly respected, People hear Kendrick Lamar, and even though he may not sell as much as Drake, or he isn't as consistently active in music as Drake, right? If we being real, Kendrick just has this kind of aura of mystery around him, this aura of respect. Like, Kendrick is a very important figure in hip-hop. While Drake is very, very important, and I feel like everybody grew up on Drake. I mean, I grew up on Drake. I didn't want Drake to really lose this beef, I didn't want anybody to really lose, to be honest. I wanted Cole to win, if I'm being real. Like, Cole was my side. Of course, we knew that Cole fucked it up, but I wanted Cole to win, so I'm completely unbiased right now. Drake also has a very strong position right now in hip-hop, but I also feel like Drake is a lot more scrutinized for lots of reasons. Many of the reasons that Kendrick mentioned in all of his diss tracks. Drake he's a little bit more unstable when it comes to public support in a rap beef, You could put Drake up against somebody like Meek Mill, for example, and Drake was going to win that, because Meek Mill is not on the same level as Drake in terms of respect, in terms of commercial success, in terms of how he's looked at in the culture, right? So that doesn't really count. Somebody like Pusha T, for example, right? When Drake and Pusha T were beefing in 2018, Drake was able to still kind of evade that beef and continue to have successful songs and a successful album, and kind of avoid it after those allegations about him hiding a child were revealed, because Pusha T isn't on, again, the same level as somebody like Kendrick. But when somebody like Kendrick Lamar, right, makes certain statements and accuses Drake of certain things, right, especially when he disses you in hit songs, Not Like Us is kind of a song of the summer right now. It's going to be song of the summer. Everybody likes that song. No matter how you feel about this beef, whether you're on Team Drake or Team Kendrick, Team PG Lang or Team OVO, you have to admit, buddy. You have to admit, Not Like Us is a certified banger. That shit is fire. Let's be real now. Like, let's not cap and act like Not Like Us isn't a good song. That song is insane, right? Kendrick was able to make some serious allegations against Drake in hit songs, which is usually Drake's formula. Like when Drake was beefing with Meek Mill, for example, Back to Back was a hit song. Back to Back had heavy allegations, but because the song was so heavy in rotation and it was such a hit song, It didn't matter what Meek Mill said. It was going to be drowned out by the success of that song and by what Drake was saying in that song. And I feel like now in 2024, it's a very similar situation with Kendrick and Drake. Drake replied to Kendrick in the Hard Part 6, right? And he basically alluded to the fact that Kendrick was lying about so many allegations, lying about how Drake has a secret 11-year-old daughter, lying about how Drake is a pedophile, lying about how members in his team are pedophiles. And he was basically saying that, we provided you this information, but you think that you're doing something, Kendrick? We literally planted this evidence so you would take the bait and you would make a song saying that. Which, by the way, I'm not sure if I believe. I'm not sure if I believe either of these niggas. I feel like both of these niggas could just be capping. We haven't really seen concrete evidence of any of these major statements that either of them has made. We haven't really seen evidence on either side, right? So I do believe somewhere deep down, both these niggas capping somewhere. Both of these niggas just out there looking for dirt and trying to make a diss track and trying to, review some serious allegations, but the proof isn't there. But that's even more telling, because even though we don't have any concrete proof or any evidence of any of this, right, Kendrick is still on top. Why? Because of his position in hip-hop and because of Drake's position in hip-hop. People are more inclined to believe that Drake is actually a pedophile, even though he may not be, because we don't know for sure. It's all alleged, right? People are more inclined to believe that what Kendrick is saying is true simply because of Kendrick's place. People look at somebody like Kendrick Lamar and just associate a certain amount of respect and dignity and honor, with his name. So even though Kendrick could, kind of be capping and kind of, fabricating his story a little bit, I don't know. It's possible. Just because he is Kendrick, people are more likely to believe him. And just because Drake is Drake and because of Drake's track record in rap and because of Drake's position as not just a rapper but a international icon, a global superstar, right? Because he is so criticized, people are more likely to believe that, what Kendrick is saying is actually kind of true. Because I remember 2 years ago, Drake had this, little scandal with this. I remember when Drake was talking to Millie Bobby Brown. I remember when Drake made a whole song about Georgia Smith. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like Kendrick leveraged his position. He kind of leveraged his stance in rap to just completely fuck Drake. Pause. Now, even though Drake has responded, right? Drake has responded in the Hard Part 6. And he basically was saying that all of those claims that Kendrick was saying was complete cap. That nigga was lying, basically, is what Drake was saying. Take note of how Kendrick really hasn't responded to that. And Kendrick has kind of just been like, bro, this beef is done. Now Kendrick could still drop something. Kendrick could still drop another diss track. Kendrick could still drop a song dropping receipts and actually giving proof of what Drake has done. But I don't feel like he will, because I feel like Kendrick and his camp both know that this battle is done. We've won, which is also another very important principle in the art of war, which I mentioned in the beginning of this video. There is no instance of a country having benefited from prolonged warfare. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. Kendrick doesn't need to fight right now. Why would Kendrick drop a response to Drake's The Hard Part 6 when public favor is 100% on Kendrick's side? It doesn't benefit him in any way. Keeping this beef afloat right now and just keeping it going is going to make this beef look a lot less, I would say, it's going to make his victory, Kendrick's victory, look a lot less certain. By Kendrick just not saying anything and by Kendrick just allowing this to blow over is also kind of showing that, what? I've won. When Drake dropped The Hard Part 6, right, I feel like most people didn't even really take that seriously. Even though it was a decent song, even though I feel like, Drake needed to drop that to sort of clear his name, like Drake needed to drop something after Not Like Us. Not Like Us was such a bomb that Drake just needed to say something, right? Even if it doesn't give him the lead, even if it doesn't give him the edge, that was something that Drake had to respond to. So I can't even, get Drake wrong for doing that. But at the same time, I can't get Kendrick wrong for choosing not to respond. Because what else is there to say, bro? My only concern now is what's going to happen after this. Because I don't know what's the mind state of these niggas, bro. I don't know how Drake is going to bounce back. Because I feel like, yes, he's Drake. And he will always have fans because he's Drake. I have friends right now, bro, who even after all of this, still dick riding Drake like crazy. Doing tricks on it. Crazy. Doing 360 spins on it. Crazy. So I feel like Drake is still going to have his core audience in terms of public perception and general public support. Drake is going to take a little bit of a hit. I have a feeling that Kendrick is going to drop an album very soon, and he's going to ride the success of this. And I also hate the way how people say how Kendrick is just doing this for clout, because if we're being real, it wasn't really Kendrick who even initiated this beef. Both these niggas, right? Both these niggas. Kendrick and Drake didn't like each other for years, right? Drake kind of initiated this beef again in first person shooter. So I feel like the whole argument of saying that Kendrick is just doing this because he wants clout doesn't make sense. I mean, Kendrick is clearly a nigga who doesn't care about that. From at least from my point of view, I feel like if Kendrick really cared about clout, he would be dropping more often. Kendrick drops like what, once every 4 or 5 years, bro. I am just enjoying this as a consumer and being objective when I say that Kendrick handled this to perfection. He won. Kendrick won. Kendrick won.